everybody. Welcome to New Media Patriot Radio, the show about you, the concerned citizen, the silent majority, the politically incorrect, the social media patriot fighting every single day to restore American values and exceptionalism. We are now being syndicated via ICRN or conservativeradionetwork.com. Visit them today. You can listen to me on there or you can just stay on Spreaker. But when I'm not on the air, you can go listen to them. They got a slew of other conservative talk radio shows on there. Also, I want to thank Rebooting Liberty for syndicating my show. Again, the Twitter, my Twitter account is at ThePatriot143 or at NMP Radio. And the number to call here is 347-338-1775. Again, the phone lines are open for you you guys that want to call in, or ladies that want to call in. The lines are open. Anyway, somebody's already chatting with us. Oh, thank you for listening, Tawn, I guess it is. Anyway, let me do a little house cleaning here. The website is newmediapatriotradio.com. We're looking for a political blogger, so if you are a political blogger and want to get some exposure on some of your writings, simply email us at newmediapatriot@gmail.com. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show and you want to be featured on the show, you want to come in and chat for 20 minutes or so, email us as well at newmediapatriot@gmail.com. We are now available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and also and Spreaker. We're on demand 24/7. But catch us live, because then you can talk to us live here on the air. And again, the number to call is 347-338-1775. I am your host, Chris, and today is going to be a cool show. We're going to be talking about everything that's because of my, the last 24 hours have been interesting because of the job that I do. Sometimes I don't have access to the internet and stuff like that. So when I came home from work, I started looking at the computer. I'm like, oh my God, this is so fast moving. I mean, it's so fast paced, a lot of things happening. And when you juxtapose the serious stuff that's happening to the nonsense that's happening between, I wouldn't say it's nonsense, but it's compared to what's happening, in Brussels, and you have Ted Cruz's super PAC, basically attacking, Melania Trump. It's kind of ridiculous, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about so much more here with my co-host, which I'm going to be bringing on in a second, Bill Mitchell, the polling expert, as everybody knows him on Twitter. I just want to, I have something special coming up April 7th. On April 7th, Sergeant Bobby Henline, who was in a Humvee, he was in a Humvee when he was hit by a roadside bomb in Iraq. 5 members died, and Bobby was the only survivor. I mean, he was burned over 38% of his body. This year, April 7th, is going to be Bobby's 9th year of life. And we are helping him raise funds for through his GoFundMe to open up. He wants to open up a restaurant, and let me tell you something. When we started promoting this about, I'm not taking all the credit, because the credit is strictly on my followers and the people that retweeted the GoFundMe, tweet. But, in about a week, we've been able to raise $8,000. Getting him that much closer to his goal. So, we're doing a virtual telethon for Bobby, for 48 hours starting Tuesday, April 5th on The Cooler with Rebecca Bergman, which airs on the, via the, Anthony Cumia network. Starting, it's going to be a live show, and, we're going to extend that, and it's going to go right into the, New Media Patriot, the silent majority here. And we have a lot of special guests coming on. And we're going to have Robert Irvine, who was an enlisted Royal Army. He enlisted in the Royal Army at the age of 15. He's an English celebrity chef who has appeared in, he's appeared on the Food Network, Diner Impossible, Worst Cooks in America, and a slew of other shows. And we're also going to have Cindy Dietz, the mother of Danny Dietz, who was played by Emil Hirsch in last year's movie, Lone Survivor. She's going to be coming on, and that's going to be an honor for me to interview her and learn more about her son, Danny Dietz. Also, we're going to have Blake Edmonds come on. He's a Canadian country music singer. A lot of you young people probably will not recognize his name. He's been in the entertainment industry for years now. He appeared on Funny Farm, Hee Haw, and a slew of other shows. But he's also going to be on the show. So it's going to be great. Again, we're going to be raising funds for Sergeant Bobby Headline, who was in a roadside. He was in Humvee and was hit by a roadside bomb in Iraq, where 5 of his fellow soldiers died. And you don't have to wait for the show to donate. Simply go to Alicia Stern. I want to thank Alicia Stern, my wife, who basically produced this whole thing for me. I want to thank her for all her hard work. You go to her Twitter account, and I think it's pinned to her Twitter account. It's pinned to the top. Go there and just donate whatever you can, $5, $10, whatever you can, just to get them closer to that goal. Anyway, at this time, I want to welcome in my co-host for the night, again, Mr. Bill Mitchell. Welcome, Bill Mitchell. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome today. A lot better than my other show. I know I opened up my show, the last show that I opened up. It was a serious tone for me because of what happened in Brussels and just the frustration and stuff like that. But today I'm in a little better mood today, so to speak.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on out there in the world, especially with Ted Cruz and the whole Melania and Heidi thing, and it's just it's interesting, and I think there's a lot of misconception on people's parts on all that too, because there's this knee-jerk reaction when anybody brings up a wife. Oh, leave the wives alone, Right. But you have to understand that somebody like Heidi Cruz, with the deep establishment GOP background that she's got from the Bush administration, and some of the interesting things that she's with the North America Union that she was involved with and that sort of thing, it's pretty clear that she is not going to be just somebody who wears pretty dresses at state dinners,
right?
In the White House. So she's going to be a very activist partner and have a lot to say to Ted about what policy will be. And as a matter of fact, she's continually referring to the Ted Cruz campaign as our campaign.
Yeah.
This is our campaign.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at somebody who's a potential co-president, then they're not just an innocent wife that's being picked on. They're somebody that needs to be vetted.
I saw your early tweet, and it just struck me as, of course. I mean, it was just like, of course she has to be vetted, more so than Melania Trump, because as you mentioned, and before we go any further, can we just? I've been saying this for months now. Ted Cruz is not an outsider. The only outsider here is Donald Trump. The only outsider left is Donald Trump. Can we just stop calling him an outsider? I mean, you hear it on all these, radio talk shows, political talk shows. They still refer to him as an outsider. Just look at who he is aligned with and who he's been aligned with. You mentioned he's been in the Bush family for how long now? He's been aligned with them for how long? He's not an outsider. He's just a guy that, Washington, the people in Washington feel that they cannot work with because he's kind of unpredictable when he's trying to build his brand, because everything he's done in Congress, in the Senate, is basically it was all a stage act for him to build his brand. So please, let's stop calling him an outsider. And again, you bring up an excellent point. Heidi Cruz needs to be vetted. She's been in cahoots with this North American trade union. Just look at what's happening in the EU right now, where now you have no borders. These terrorists can go and bomb Brussels and then just flee into another country. It doesn't make sense. And that's what the North American trade union was supposed to be all about. We're supposed to erase the southern and northern border and make us all one. So please, we have to vet her. And although right now the tweets going back and forth seem kind of childish, we're going to get into a serious something that came up in the National Enquirer today. I would imagine you read the articles. I saw you tweeting about it.
Yeah, on the National Enquirer.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, okay, it's the National Enquirer, right? This is like the magazine that does the Bat Boy and aliens and all that stuff. But they also did Gary Hart. And they did, the name has just slipped my mind.
Well, I'll tell you right now. I'll help you out. Here you go.
Democrat.
Yeah, here you go. The National Enquirer, it is a tabloid, like you mentioned. I'm going to help you out with the names that they kind of uncovered scandals with. It was Gary Hart, Jesse Jackson, John Edwards, just to name a few of the infamous examples. Beyond the story, I'm reading this from Conservative Treehouse. It says, beyond the story itself, there's a few presenting elements which point to a high degree of confidence and, as a consequence, legal avoidance on the publisher's part. Firstly, they post pictures of collective mistresses. National Enquirer would never legally go there if they did not hold a very reasonable certainty that the outlined players were a factual part of the story.
Yeah, well, here's something that I find interesting. Okay, I find interesting is that Ted Cruz is the kind of guy, and his political team is the kind of people, they get out ahead of things. You know, they don't let any grass grow under a scandal or a story. And this article has been out all day long. And as far as I know, there may be something out there I'm not aware of, but as far as I know on Twitter and the news blogs and so on I read, there's not a single denial from Ted Cruz on any of this yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're listening to the sound.
You know, and I'm like,
go ahead.
Yeah, it just seems odd and out of character to me. And I'm just wondering, you know, Ted and Heidi did go through a difficult patch in their marriage, you know, when he was working in Texas and she was still up in D.C., and they had some struggles in there. So I'm just wondering if there does end up being some truth to this.
There is some,
rather than denying it.
Yeah, there does seem to be some there.
Denying it. Yeah. Rather than denying it, then maybe what Cruz is planning on doing is kind of doing a Jimmy Swaggart on us, you know, a big tearful, you know, I have sinned and, you know, Heidi has forgiven me and I ask you to forgive me too. And there are larger issues here. Mm-hmm. And if, you know, Donald Trump pressed at this point, then he's a sniveling jerk, you know, all deflect, yep. You know, and so I'm just wondering if that's the track he's going to go on. I don't know. I have no idea if any of this is true or it's not true or what. I'm just guessing here.
Well, time will tell. And you're listening to the Silent Majority here on New Media Patriot Radio. I'm your host, Chris. And on the Rebooting Liberty Hotline, I have my co-host, Bill Mitchell, the polling expert on Twitter. The phone lines are jam-packed. I'm going to get to everybody right now because, as I mentioned, this show is about the callers tonight. So all we're going to do is answer phone calls from here on out. I want to go to Teal in Florida. Welcome to the Silent Majority.
Hi, Mr. Mitchell. I follow you on Twitter, and I apologize. I have a slight cold right now. I just was on the airplane on a trip yesterday.
It's going around. So.
I really appreciate everything you do. Both Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, they are considered outsiders. However, the biggest difference between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump is that Donald Trump was not a politician before, but he dealt with them many years. He knows a lot about being a politician. However, he doesn't act like it or live like it. On the other hand, Cruz is a total establishment politician, and it needs to be brought out more. His wife worked with him during the Bush administration. She was working on the North American community. She was with the Council on Foreign Affairs. She was appointed an officer position under Bush to work on that, and she, I think, wrote a paper or something on the North American agreement. No one ever talks about this. Secondly, she was a energy. She had a high position in energy service position in the Goldman Sachs with the administration. She had an energy position. So she is totally connected, and if she becomes the first lady, she will have a cabinet position, or not a cabinet, but she will have a high position in his administration, guaranteed. Now, they both have super tight connections to the Bushes. Why else did Jeb Bush endorse Ted Cruz?